where Lady Luck has a roll. She didn't smile on Eric Almirola yesterday on pole day. Brad Keselowski getting ready for his stint for the Xfinity race later today on FS1. There is where Lady Luck landed, right on the shoulders of Ryan Blaney, who won the pole. However, look at the maniacal grin on Kevin Harvick's face. He's the man to beat once again. It's the first of 2 practice sessions on FS1. Snow in the mountains. 57 degrees right now. Temps going up into the 60s. Partly cloudy, mostly cloudy skies right now. And that flag on the backstretch has had no rest for 2 straight days. It has been right straight out there. Winds at 20 to 25, gusting to 40 miles an hour, much as it was yesterday.
Mike, I love these morning practices. You know why? Because yesterday I'm so uptight about qualifying. I got to overcommit to get a good lap. Today I can take my leisurely time and try to get a setup in this car that is comfortable for the long race, and I like that.
What I like is when we came into the 2018 season, we talked about the new Camaro Z01. We talked about the dominance of Toyota and how is Ford going to be able to compete with these 2 manufacturers. And what have we seen since we've gotten here and last week at Atlanta? These Fords are super fast.
And you know what I like, Jeff? Over the winter, there were only a few minor rule changes.
Right.
Rule
nothing
changes.
Big. Timmy Johnson second quick. Okay, now third behind Newman and Wallace. Now fourth. Now fifth. Oh, never mind.
Gate 7.
Yeah, now arriving. Gate 7, gate 8, gate 9. That's right.
I talked to Chad for a minute yesterday, and I said, "Is everything okay, buddy?" And he said, "Look at my face." He said, "I'm smiling. Everything's fine."
Ryan Newman, front row starter last week. Wow.
Oh, Sparky right there.
Yes.
Yeah, these cool temperatures in these morning practices, even though it is going to be pretty cool tomorrow for this race, typically we just see a lot of travel, really fast speeds, the car doing everything you want it to do as a driver.
Yeah, and the tire pressures are pretty low right now. You go out this morning, you're going to be way down on air, knowing that it's going to build up. That's pretty cool.
You're going to be way down on splitter if that keeps up. Now the splitter is not metal, right?
No.
So it's, what's that? The bolts?
There are some bolts and pucks that they'll put in there as sort of an indicator.
We think that's bad. The teams probably think that's pretty good because they're learning something. You know, maybe we don't want to run it quite that low.
Alex Bowman, third quick.
That's what I like about these practices. You get to fix things. You get to try things. Maybe you come up with that magic setup, or maybe you make a little change in the car, and boy, the driver loves that. And you got time to do that this morning in these practices.
Well, sure, you don't want tomorrow's 400-mile race to be a science project.
No. You want
to get that sorted out in these 2 practice sessions.
Leave here confident that you have it as good as you can get it.
Well, one team that certainly optimized qualifying yesterday was Martin Truex Jr. and Cole Pearn. They had a situation that could have been trouble and worked their way right through it. Jamie Little.
They really did. They had a right front tire that was equalizing. That inner liner was leaking into the tire itself. Well, Cole Pearn opted not to tell his driver there was an issue, and they went ahead and qualified 4th. Well, I just talked to Cole Pearn, and after qualifying, they went back to NASCAR. They took the tire. This is actually that right front. Took it back to Goodyear. It took them 8 different inner liners and 2 different wheels to finally get the inner liner to not equalize. Now, this morning, while I was talking to Cole, his tire specialist came in and said we had 5 race tires for Sunday that were equalizing. So apparently there's a few other teams having the issues. So these guys are working on it. They're keeping their eye on it. But this set of tires right here from qualifying, they'll start the race on Sunday with them, Mike.
Yeah, Jamie, that inner liner is almost like a tire within a tire. This is how you air the outer tire. This is the valve stem. You air the inner tire. And the way it's designed, you need to keep the pressure on that inner liner somewhere between 12 to 25 psi greater than the outer. To Jamie's point, it was leaking through the bead of the inner liner, and the pressures were equalizing, what causes a vibration. Pretty impressed with what Cole Pearn did, aside from not telling Martin Truex Jr. what they did each time they tried to make a run in qualifying in round 2 and 3. Right before Martin would leave, he would just let some air out of the outer tire on the right front. That way there was a differential in pressure when he made that lap.
And he ended up with a great run in what might otherwise have been a no try for segment 2 or round 2 or round 3.
The most impressive thing to me that Cole Pearn did is he didn't tell Martin Truex Jr. that this issue was even going on.
Yeah, Martin's quote was, just shut up and drive.
That's right. Well, when you're qualifying, that's what you got to do. You know, Jeff uses the word all the time about commit, and that's what you got to do when you get ready to go qualify. You got to commit to driving that thing down in there further than you have all day. How
cool was that? Riding on board with Suarez, Daniel Suarez, as he is using our visor cam, or wearing the visor cam. Nice. You saw where he turned through the center of the corner and went right through those bumps, cut to the inside, and made a pass. That was pretty cool to watch as he went inside David Reagan.
There's your pole sitter for tomorrow's 400-miler. Ryan Blaney coming in after a run. This is the first of 3 races in NASCAR's West Coast swing. Last year, Kyle Larson won at California, second in the other 2 races. Martin Truex Jr. won here to start his title run. And Chase Elliott scored points in every stage of all 3 races. Yeah, what a trip. Indeed. Remember to follow @Toyota Racing for more content and more conversations around NASCAR Goes West, presented by Toyota.
Daniel Suarez making a pit road entry. You're going to see a lot of that in this practice. A lot of cars I'm seeing running their pit road speed, just checking those lights, checking those RPMs, and seeing how smooth the car can transition from the racetrack to the entry there, and how fast they can get there.
So Happy Harvick has run 4 laps. His 3rd lap was 10th quickest, and he is now 3rd fastest with a 29.08. 28.80. Ryan Newman remains fastest. You see on the left.
You think 41 will be pretty good tomorrow? And I think this guy will be pretty good tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
I think this team is. I know how Harvick is. When they get a little momentum, he and Rodney, I tell you, they ride it, and they love it. Harvick loves the West Coast swing. It's home to him, and I think he's highly motivated to win this race.
Now, he was asked which of the West Coast races he is most looking forward to. He was asked last week in the post-race press conference, and he said, actually, it's the K&N race at Kern County up in Bakersfield, where he's from.
Yeah.
He's really looking forward to that race.
Is he driving in it?
Yeah, I think he is.
Eric Jones, 18th on the board. He is the 3rd quickest Toyota in this session.
You know, remember back at Daytona, I said, I think this guy's got multiple wins in him this year, and I really do. This is a great team, that 20 car, Matt Kence's car, and I think Eric has the talent. I think he and the crew chief, they get a little bit of, get on the same page. Wouldn't surprise me to see him win 2 or 3 races.
He's the best qualified of the 4 Gibbs cars. Kyle Busch missing the final round by, I think, less than 2 100ths of a second yesterday at his home track. And not all of the Gibbs cars have practiced, Jamie. Oh, yes, they have. Okay, but one's in the garage. There you go.
Yes. Well, and one's not very happy. That's Denny Hamlin. I talked to him before he went out, and he said the car was driving pretty well yesterday in qualifying, but they just didn't have speed. So Mike Wheeler, his crew chief, told me they went over it. They looked at their teammates' information last night, and they made a bunch of changes for this practice. Well, Denny went out there, and he said he felt like he was crashing into turn 1. So they definitely need to tighten this up. And that seems to be what everybody's saying. They're just a little bit free starting out this early in the morning.
Yeah, his fast lap 7/10 off of Ryan Newman's.
And Mike, the way you drive this track, turn 1 is kind of interesting because you do like a big sweep. You go out right next to the wall, and then you just wheel it off down in the corner right to the bottom.
Well, and also when the track's cool like this, a lot of times those front tires just grip a lot better than they've been gripping, and it really can rotate the car and make it loose.
Here's what Hamlin had to say after his run.
It still has a freer sensation on entry, but once I get in the center, it just crashes. Same thing as last year. We just can't control it going from high on entry to crashing in the center.
So when he says crashing, it's bottoming out into the racetrack. You know, so you know, he gets loose. He feels like the car's not quite connected to the racetrack, but then as it compresses into the banking, especially through those bumps, it's just hitting too many things. Splitter, side skirts, maybe some components underneath the car. And when you do that at 200 miles per hour, it's very uncomfortable.
And a lot of that, Mike, is in the shocks. I mean, you put a lot of rebound in that left front shock to hold that corner of the car down. You know how flat the cars look through the turns and are down the straightaway? A lot of that is rebound in that left front shock. You might have to ease off of that a little bit and give up a little bit of a speed to get a little more comfort in the car.
Here's Clint Boyer, 7th in this session. He'll start 11th tomorrow. You know, I'm wondering, the ambient temperature right now is what it's going to be at race time.
Yep.
It's going to be warmer when we have final practice later. Does that put a little extra import on this practice session because this is closer to what we're going to see for race condition?
I think it does. All the teams are wanting to do is compare conditions to what it's going to be like in the race. So it's not always that the morning practice is going to be different. It's just usually it's really cool in the mornings and it's going to heat up as the day goes on, and that's what the race conditions are going to be. Now, it is cloudy. I think tomorrow it's supposed to be sunny, so that will heat up the track temperature a little bit. So I think both of these practices today are really important for these teams.
And Jeff, I don't know how this your experience is, but I've been in a morning practice like this, and I love my car. Boy, y'all nailed it. I go to the next practice and say, what have y'all done to my car?
Right. Eric Jones has come out and made one run of 19, now 20 consecutive laps. That's by far the most anybody's run in this session, which has 41 minutes to go. 39 minutes to go in the first of 2 practice sessions today on FS1. Final practice will follow Xfinity Series qualifying. Here, after a really exciting truck race, you see on the track all those burnouts. Those circles, those were Kyle Busch's last night in the truck race. He's trying for the three-peat. Paul Menard, fastest in round 1 of knockout qualifying, ended up in the top dozen. And that's where he'll start in row 6 tomorrow. For the Wood brothers. Off to a pretty good start in one of those. Boy, they're not going to be as fast as the Camrys and the Camaros Fusions. They are.
Yeah, I mean, they've definitely done their homework, and so far in 2018, I know we're only coming to our 3rd race, but they've impressed.
I was watching Joe and we got a problem here with the 11 car.
You know, the first time the 11 went out, I saw he pulled off and did the same thing. So he had a big
got
moment.
something dragging out the back there.
Yeah, there was smoke out the
tire
like
shredded,
the right
maybe,
rear.
or something.
That's
duct.
a brake
hose.
Brake hose.
It's a lot. Let's watch this.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it goes. It's unraveling.
It's just a hose that they use to go to the brake duct.
Put a hook on the end, he'd be going fishing.
I heard a pop and then started steering funny.
So I think that's coming all the way up from the right front.
I wonder if that's all wrapped around and got in the way of a tie rod or something in the steering, most likely.
He heard a pop. Yeah, I believe that right front tire is soft. Looks kind of soft to me.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
But anyway, back to the 22 car. I was watching him there a little bit ago, and he's got a fast car. He's running really well right now. But, man, he had a moment, and I'm sure he was not happy about what just happened here on the racetrack. Watch this, Mike. Jeff.
Whoa. Oh, boy, he ran up on that 55. Really fast, Joey Gase.
Like he didn't even know he was coming.
Well, now, Did Joey Gase hold his line, I guess is the question.
Thank goodness he did.
He did. He just was going 15 miles an hour slower when he did it.
He held his line in the fast lane was the problem.
Well, now that's the difference between a 29.5-second lap and a 31.5-second lap. All right, let's try to unravel the mystery of the 11. Jamie.
And Denny Hamlin in the garage now. Mike Wheeler, his crew chief at the front, trying to diagnose. Denny's saying all along that it definitely feels like something is weird with the steering. Something just went wrong, something broke. And Wheels just now on the radio said definitely right front is flat. So they're looking at what caused that flat.
Well, that pop must have been the tire that Denny heard.
Yeah.
And we're now under caution for debris from the number 11. So a little break in the action here. The clock keeps running, 35.5 to go in this practice. Track is open once again for practice. Now here's Denny Hamlin's car. You see something dark fly off of it right there. May have been some of what they just picked up on the track, and then something bright that sparked off going off the track. Maybe a piece of a brake duct, maybe a bolt, or a fastener.
He's complained about the way the car is driving. Maybe that's that brake duct and all that stuff that's in the right front right there is grabbing that wheel or making the car not steer right, and that's what's giving him a problem, or what he was having a problem with.
And those ducts are all made out of carbon fiber, so that looked like it could have been a piece of carbon fiber. And they run these ducts so close in tolerances to the tire, to the hub, to everything, trying to keep it cool, that maybe it just there was some deflection in the tire that grabbed it and ended up breaking it apart.
The tire looked up when this started. When we first saw that right front tire, it looked like it had a good amount of air in it. So not sure which was the chicken and which was the egg in this problem here.
I'll tell you what's amazing, Mike, when you go down and look how much stuff they stuff inside of the wheel, how big the brake calipers are, how big the brakes are, brake ducts, and all that's basically inside the wheel.
All right, show and tell time.
Yes.
Jamie. Oh, I'm sorry. We just got passed along that she had a piece of carbon fiber that had come off of the number 11. There it is.
There it is. So when Denny pulled into his garage, this fell out from the back. So yes, Jeff, you said carbon fiber. It definitely is. They're looking at it right now. And of course, other crew chiefs, Rodney Childers, very interested, just walked down here to see what went wrong here.
Now those rough edges, they're sharp.
Oh yeah, that's
they will cut a tire in.
I feel pretty confident that the duct broke and that carbon fiber piece, and that cut the tire and then started to unravel the hose.
Bubba Wallace, 7th fastest, actually tied for 7th fastest by 1,000.
If enthusiasm and excitement and confidence will make a car go fast, that car will fly, because I tell you, Bubba has got it.
Now this reminds me of back in the day. I mean, they have the Cosmopolitan, which is a big hotel complex here in Las Vegas. Back in the day, some of the independent drivers would put the name of a local hotel on the side of their car in exchange for hotel rooms for the weekend. Way back.
Put the Holodog in on mine one time. Worked out real well.
Were you entertaining in the Holodome that night?
That's right.
Yeah.
Bubba tested out here, so they got a pretty good handle on this place, and I just like Bubba's attitude. I mean, he is so fun, and he just is kind of easygoing, and but when he puts that helmet on, he gets serious.
And you brought up testing. Right now, our top two also tested out here. Ryan Newman tested out here. Kyle Larson tested out here. So, getting those laps, especially in this new Camaro, I think that makes a big difference with some of the changes that have gone on this year with the flat splitter. Those are valuable laps and time on the racetrack. Jamie?
Well, I talked to Bubba about that new sponsorship from the Cosmopolitan. He said, man, I have the best, biggest, most awesome suite here. So he's got some family and friends in here enjoying it as well. So it's good to see a local hotel on this car. But as far as the handling right now coming into this race, they said qualifying was not going to be their strong suit. They learned that from the test in January. He brings it down to pit road now, just saying he's a little bit too loose in their early goings here.
Okay.
That's a gadget. Put that gadget on the right front. What do you think they're doing there, bud?
They're just checking the toe. I think it's all about how that mounts to the wheel to get the best accurate setting to where those front tires are at to check the toe. camber, toe, all those things.
Yeah, we just used to lean a toe gauge against the bulge in the tire front and back and line them up and get a couple of rulers. And now we find out that's very unscientific.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
and if you look at that piece, that's mounted to the wheel and the hub, the most truest, flattest piece on the tire.
And our suspensions had a little give in them here and there, you know, so you would have to roll the car back and then roll it forward and lock it so that the tires would roll out if they were going to roll out any at all. So yeah, it's a whole lot different game today.
Now here's another driver that tested out here, William Byron, sporting the Exalta colors.
16th quick so far.
That first round yesterday, he impressed me. I think he was in the top 5 after round 1. But we've seen where it's tricky to go from round 1 to round 2 and check the balance and the grip level, and just got away from him in round 2.
Casey Kane, currently 13th. David Reagan in his Ford.
And David's 29th quick.
Ooh,
His teammate Michael McDowell is 9th fastest.
I know McDowell is he's putting on a show today. That car is fast. Number 34.
Today, all weekend.
Derek
he's been
Finley
fast.
got a great spotter, Steve Martin. I mean, that's a pretty good little race team right there, guys.
David Reagan's car looks like it's rotating a little bit stronger getting into the corner than he'd like to. I saw the back end step out quite a bit the last time going into turn 1.
"27 minutes to go in the first of 2 practices today. Welcome back to practice for Sunday's Pennzoil 400, presented by Jiffy Lube here in Las Vegas. Jamie McMurray, 12th on the speed chart, has now run 14 laps.
I notice everybody's kind of searching around. You see McMurray here. He's running a little higher right now, trying to miss those bumps that are down low in 1 and 2 up there, or down there. And I think he's searching around for another line.
Well, remember, he's Kyle Larson's teammate. He knows the test went well for Larson. Larson ran up high, I think, found a lot of speed through there. So I think he's going to try to do that same thing.
All right, so if you had to pick an entry, as they say in horse racing, or make a Quinella bet on 2 horses, would you take the 2 Kyles here?
You lost me at Quinella first, but go ahead.
Would you take the 2 Kyles or the 2 Bushes?
I mean, those are both good bets, I must say,
tough one.
because I think that Stuart Haas right now they have a lot of confidence in momentum coming from Atlanta. I think, Kurt runs really well here. He had not won here, but I think this team is probably poised and ready. But I also, Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson, those guys are really quick around here. Kyle Busch, I think he wants to get that sweep this weekend. Yep. Xfinity truck. He already won the truck race last night and this Cup race on Sunday.
Now, Kyle Larson started the weekend at 11-1 at the Wynn where we're staying, and I think now the odds on him last night were 6-1.
Oh, darn it! I knew I should have.
Bert Ernie, you missed your shot.
That.
Yeah. Yep. But Mike, I'll just tell you this: whatever car wins this race will have a 4 in the number.
Okay.
So you're saying it won't be this one?
I said whatever car wins this race will have a 4 in the number.
41, 14, 42, 4, 48.
Yep. Okay. I'm just saying.
24.
Guys, look right here at the Gibbs running order. And we've already talked. Mike, you talked about only one of their 4 drivers made the final round yesterday, Eric Jones. And when I look at those drivers right there, Denny Hamlin's having his issue. Kyle Busch is not making any kind of a long run. Eric Jones did make a long run, and Daniel Suarez back there in 32nd. A lot like yesterday, just not seeing the speed in these Joe Gibbs Toyotas, Jamie.
Yeah, and just to update the 11, Larry, he's going back out right now. They looked at everything, the damage, and Wheels just told me we must have run something over and it cut a hole in the brake hose, and then that caught the tire and it unspooled it. So everything is fine. There's no suspension damage, and Denny is back out. And by the way, he's saying the car's handling a little bit better in turning. Mike?
Jamie, as we went to break, we saw kind of an odd expression on Martin Truex's face as he was putting his helmet on there. Is he okay this morning?
He's just tired. He needs some of his sponsor, 5 Hour Energy. I talked to him before he got in the car, and he's like, what are we doing practicing at 9 a.m.? It's way too early for me. So he's a little groggy, a little puffy-eyed, and taking his time getting up to speed.
Okay, not a morning person.
But a race car driver.
There you go. All right, Bert and Ernie have been working overtime. Now, they are not odds makers, but they do have their mathematical prediction of what will happen here tomorrow.
Okay.
I don't know about Kyle Larson all the way down in 10th there.
Yeah, that's I don't like that. I don't.
I do. I think that's pretty stout. I don't know if there's enough. I don't know if there's enough surprises in there. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, is that they'll be in the top 10, or that's an order? Oh, okay. I don't agree with Larson being in 10.
I don't.
No, I don't either.
I think Ryan Blaney's going to be better.
Larson down in the bottom 5. Come on, guys.
I'll put up $1 that will not be the order of finish.
Come on, Bernie, get your act together.
We're starting to put names and faces with it.
So, well, Bernie's got one more. He's got one more practice session to work on this. Of course, last week Bernie had Larson as 9th, and where did he finish? 9th. So I don't know.
That darn Bernie.
I think I would have agreed with Bernie last week at Atlanta. I'm disagreeing with Bernie this week.
Yep. Brad Keselowski at his day job. 11th on the board right now. Later today, he will trade his helmet for a microphone and come up and join the Xfinity telecast on FS1.
You know what I like about Brad? He always plays it forward. I always remember what Roger Penske said about Brad Keselowski. He's got a bigger windshield than everybody else. And I think what he means by that is Brad sees things on the track, off the track, and away from the track that nobody else sees. And I really believe that he does a lot of homework when it comes to preparing for a race, a track, and getting ready to go, 400 miles here on Sunday.
Yep, he'll be entertaining and insightful.
Yes, very.
Kyle Larson quickest with 19 minutes to go in the first of 2 practices today. Welcome back to Las Vegas, part of NASCAR Goes West, presented by Toyota. 17 to go in morning practice. Final practice coming up after Xfinity qualifying. Riding with A.J. Allmendinger. He is 26th in this practice.
See how much speed AJ's carrying, about 198 there into turn 3, and we know that's a shorter part of the racetrack as far as straightaways go. So let's see here off of turn 4. Should see 200 miles per hour. Yeah. That's what Martin Truex Jr. was talking about, that wake-up call. That's an abrupt wake-up call when you roll out of bed, get in a race car, and go 200 miles per hour.
Jeff, what do you think? I'm just looking down here. Some of the guys are practicing their pit road speed. This pit road, to me, it's pretty difficult because of where the entrance to the pits is. Did you ever find that to be a problem, or did you like it like that?
Well, it comes up really fast. I mean, this is a smooth, fast racetrack, so you can be super aggressive and carry speed around that corner. But one of the things that is difficult about this pit road, and you see the banking, where the banking meets the apron, it's very abrupt. So as you see those dotted lines, that's where the track starts to flatten out and is a nicer transition to the pit entry. So you're going to want to carry the speed as far around as possible, but the more you carry that speed around, the easier it is to miss pit road.
Boy, there are so many timing lines now. I tell you, this looks very similar to what we had at Atlanta last week as far as the number of lines.
Yeah, guys, that first segment coming in is only 89 feet compared to the rest of them being in the 130, 140 feet range. So that first one really gets them.
And Larry, that last one gets them too. I think it's only 58 feet. So coming in and exiting pit road entry, a lot of opportunity to make mistakes.
Agree.
Let's check with Jamie.
Well, Austin Dillon, our Daytona 500 winner, you guys are still struggling just a little bit. 31st on the board. Where are you missing it so far?
Well, we tried a new package this morning. This practice is kind of one of the throwaways because of the temperature, and we tried a whole different front end package, and it's just not what we need. Our teammates passed with kind of what we had yesterday when we qualified. We're happy with qualifying. We went from 26th to 16th in qualifying. So we got a good starting position, good pit stall. We just need to make it more drivable. We were trying something this morning, didn't work out.
All right, and he's a penalty car guy, so he will sit it out the last 15 minutes. The team is not allowed to work on it.
Thanks, Jamie.
And Mike, just a quick follow-up on pit road. Where are you most likely to speed?
Coming in
segment
1.
And going out.
And going out. The last segment 16.
I was just looking at those segments. I said, those are kind of setting you up.
Very inviting.
Kyle Busch going for the weekend sweep as Adam Alexander comes into the booth to scratch out his last few ad-libs for the qualifying session to follow. And I don't think there's anybody who thinks he can't do it. Won the truck race last night. He'll be a contender. He'll be a favorite for this afternoon's race and certainly a contender on Sunday.
Well, he did the sweep at what I think is one of the gruelingest, toughest racetracks we go to, and that's Bristol. And he did that last year. So he loves doing the sweep like that. And when he's in the race, you can bet he's got to beat.
Alex Bowman, 5th fastest, talks about his most recent run.
I didn't really feel like that gave us what we needed. I felt like for a corner we still took off a little edgy free, but we built tight faster. We were tighter sooner. Less chatter again, but still just very tight off. Couldn't carry throttle, couldn't cut the center.
Chatter. You'll hear a lot of drivers talk about chatter here, and the way this surface is and the way the tire grips, especially in these cool temperatures as fast as it is, you're really pushing the edge of the grip level, and all of a sudden the front tire will start to give it a little vibration and chatter as it loses grip. I think the biggest thing that teams are dealing with are trying to get the balance. Yeah, you want more grip, but you want front to rear balance. Get those front tires to cut right at the right place in the center of the corner, but not over cut the front of the car and swing the back around on entry and exit.
Yesterday we had a shot of Alex, and then his crew chief, Greg Ives, was standing right behind him. I threw in the Riddler. A lot of people said, what were you talking about? That's what Alex calls Greg Ives. He says he speaks in codes like the Riddler, and so that's kind of be a new nickname for him, the Riddler.
Happy birthday to Bruton Smith, who bought this track, bulldozed the infield, and built the Neon Garage, and to our associate director, Eric Mandia. For 2 Chevrolets in the final round of qualifying yesterday, here's one of them, Chase Elliott, debriefing with his team, and you see a good bit of gesturing there, and also a little bit of head shake left to right, as if this isn't quite what I'm looking for. He will share the 3rd row tomorrow with Kyle Larson, who's with Jamie.
Kyle Larson, top of the board. So is the car as good as it looks?
Yeah, I think our Cradle and Bank Chevy is really good. We tested here about a month ago, and we're fast and got a good balance on our car. And I think this practice we were just kind of chasing the track a little bit. I was loose, the first few runs we did, and worked on tightening it up. And then we put a set of stickers on, ran a few laps there at the end. Ran a fast lap, but I built tight really fast. So I think we would have just waited to practice and left the same setup on there to start, we would have been fine. The track just went through a lot of transition, I think.
All right, Kyle Larson was 2nd here last year, looking for his first win at Vegas.
And when Kyle Larson talks about the track changing, one of the things is we see Jimmy Johnson up the racetrack. I don't know if he's searching up there, if he slid up there, but a lot of rubber is being laid into the racetrack right now. I see the track's much darker than it was when we started this practice, and Goodyear will tell you this tire lays rubber, and I think that's what a lot of these teams are experiencing as it changes. When that rubber lays into the racetrack, it definitely changes the grip level.
And Jeff, I noticed a lot of guys, I think it's almost confusing. A lot of guys go out and they run the bottom of the wall, and then they try to run the top. I guess the crew chief says, run the top, give me some feedback. Not too many people have been able to do that successfully just yet. There's just not enough rubber up high, particularly in 3 and 4, to do that.
Also, I don't know if teams are cycling through new tires where they put an older set on and maybe try a set of stickers, or newer tires, or they're just going out cycling on older tires. But that last run, Jimmy Johnson, his times are all over the place.
Now look at the corners, how much rubber's been laid down. You see how the track has blackened up from the truck race last night and the various practice and qualifying sessions.
Yeah, that's about mid-track, about mid-groove. Nobody's gotten up real high.
And it didn't look anything like this when we started this practice.
No. Wow.
But here's where they get really, right here, look how close they get that wall, right? Yikes there. Every time I watch somebody off that corner, I think you're going to hit that wall. They get so close.
And what I'm excited about, what we might see tomorrow, is they're just going to keep creeping that up higher and higher, trying to find that fresh pavement, which is that gray area. Now, of course, that gray area can get treacherous if you jump over what we call the cushion, and you can, all the marbles will get built up in that area. So they got to be careful. Just get to the edge of it, find a little grip, but don't go too far above it.
That's where I've always seen Larson kind of seem like he almost has an advantage, is getting into that high groove, entering the corner. He seems to be able to get his car in there, and it's a little bit loose, but he's able to manage it very well and run that high line better than anybody.
You know, the mile and a half seemed to have different characteristics for restarts. Last week at Atlanta, we saw the top groove not taking off so well. Traditionally at Texas, the top groove is not a good place to be on the restarts. What about here?
Well, I think the one thing, I'm not sure which lane has the advantage. Kind of got to let them have a couple of restarts to decide that. But one thing we do know, they can be as many as 5 wide going down into turn 1, because once you cross the start-finish line, everybody in the inside line wants to start drifting down on that apron to get an advantage going into 1, and that creates some real havoc and excitement.
Yeah, and last week we saw a lot of wheel spin. When you try to put the power to those rear tires, they spin very easily. Not quite the case here. This track, you can launch on those restarts in second gear and get that power down. So it's really more about just getting momentum and then trying to spread out to find an open lane or spot where you can start making a pass, even if you have to go 3 or 4 wide into turn 1.
And remember last year, I think it was Kansas, when Martin Truex was leading the race, and he dropped below the white line, and they black flagged him for changing lanes. So you got to stay in your lane until you get past the start finish line.
So you see they'll start accelerating in that restart zone, but once you get up to speed and you get into about 3rd gear, you're at the start finish line. That white line there, what separates the apron and the racetrack, that's where you'll see the car start to go below that white line. And there's no out of bounds here.
No.
You do need to hold your lane, so wherever you accelerate and start the restart, you need to hold that lane. Once you get past the start finish line, you can start fanning out, and they certainly will. They'll be down on that apron if they've got a good enough run on the car ahead of them.
A little more than 4 minutes to go in Las Vegas. Tickets still available for tomorrow's Pennzoil 400 presented by Jiffy Lube here in Las Vegas. Visit lvms.com/tickets and pick yours. Eric Jones has made 2 runs in this practice session, 23 and 22 laps, 45 total. Martin Truex Jr. 39 laps, Paul Menard 34, David Reagan, Ryan Newman 32 each. Here's Jamie.
Bubba Wallace making his first Cup start here in Vegas. Qualifying was a bit of a struggle, but it looks like you guys found your way a little bit. 7th on the board.
Yeah, there's the speed. Where were you at yesterday, car? No, it's good. Wish we didn't have this issue. No radiator problems for us. Our Cosmopolitan Chevrolet Camaro Z01. But all in all, we're happy with our speed. The balance is fighting a couple different things that we want to get adjusted. But luckily, this isn't too big of a change for us. get to go out next practice and get her dialed in for real.
Did you have a leak in the radiator and they just had to swap it? Is that what's happening up there?
Yeah, it's a small hairline crack in there, and we noticed water was kind of gushing out of it. So get that taken care of and get back in and have some fun.
All right, Bubba, we'll see you in final practice.
Trust me one thing, when he says he's having some fun, he ain't lying.
Yep.
He has fun.
See a lot of drivers practicing pit road entry, stopping in their box and taking off in the last few minutes of this session. There's your pole sitter for tomorrow's race.
Running that high line. I like when these drivers search around, trying to find a groove that nobody else has figured out.
What I like about Blaney, I watched him a little bit, Jeff. He seems to be able to run high or low. He kind of experiments a little bit. Sure, they're giving him lap times, but he seems to be able to go where he wants to right now.
And that's what a good race car will do for you.
Well, the flags are out, which means that Kyle Larson, on his 15th of 17 laps total, has won the first of 2 practice sessions. 28.79 was his fast lap.
Didn't he win practice yesterday too?
He's won every practice session in both series this weekend so far.
Alex Bowman, he's in the fast 5. That came on lap 2, as did the quickest laps for Newman, Johnson, and Harvick, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Eric Almirola, one of the Stewart-Haas cars, and I misspoke yesterday. I was quoting a rule that predated the charter system where you could run a 5th car for a rookie. That car for Cole Custer has a lot of Stewart-Haas influence in it. Cole's dad is the general manager of Stewart-Haas, but it is that 51 is entered by Rick Ware Racing, not by Stewart-Haas. And Cole ran 23 laps in this session. Excuse me, he ran 20 laps, 23rd fast in his Cup debut. Coming up, Xfinity qualifying is next. Who will win the pole? Then, weekend edition of NASCAR Race Hub will be back with final practice at 2:30. What are we going to see?
Well, I think it just kind of will verify who we think will be the favorite for the race. This practice has got a good indication, I think, of where they are. But I think that final practice, that verifies who's got the best car, I think.
I think that groove's just going to continue to get wider and higher.
And don't forget, NASCAR race day at 3:30 Eastern, and 4 o'clock is the Xfinity race. And then we'll all be cutting Mandy's birthday cake a little later on. Xfinity cars ready to go, ready to qualify. Adam Alexander, Michael Waltrip ready to bring you all the action. We'll see you for final practice later on.